Well, when Clive Palmer publicly launched his Trumpet of Patriots party 2 weeks ago, he put up an alternative to the uni-party system, which dominates our political system, a party unashamedly borrowing from the MAGA playbook. As a matter of fact, those attached to the party attempted to call it MAGA. And he introduced his party's leader as well, Suellen Wrightson, as Australia's next PM. Now, if that's true, we'd better get to know her a little bit better and find out what she stands for. Suellen Wrightson joins me now from Newcastle. Suellen, welcome to the program.
Good morning, Chris. Thanks so much for having me on your show.
Now, Newcastle is an old Labor stronghold that's going to be hard to break. How has your candidacy been received locally? Can you tell us?
Yeah, look, Chris, I'm running in the seat of Hunter, which is just next to Newcastle.
Yep.
And you are correct. It is a rusted-on Labor seat, but I think the reason why Labor has traditionally received so much support in the Hunter is because the Labor Party used to stand up for the working class. Now, they have changed. The Labor Party would be better off wearing a green shirt these days rather than a red shirt. And we honestly, you just have to have a look at how Australians are suffering under this cost of living crisis.
And an old Labor Party would have been first to the gates in terms of solving the cost of living for those who were rusted on Labor supporters.
You're absolutely right. And I think so. They're hurting the people that they need the most. And I honestly believe, especially in the seat of the Hunter, it's the engine room of our resources sector. They are the working class. I lived in the Hunter for many, many years. I actually currently live 1,000 metres from the boundary, so I'm still in Newcastle in the Hunter. My children went through school in the Hunter. I was on local government. I was elected as a councillor in the Hunter, and I love the place. It's mines, it's wines, and I know that the traditional Labor vote will turn away from Labor in the Hunter, and they'll be looking for something else. Now, when you think about these Labor voters, they're probably not going to go to the Liberal Party. I think it's fair for me to say that. And that's why I've decided to run in my former hometown of the Hunter and really stand up for the people.
But if you are replicating what we're seeing unveiled by Donald Trump and the Republican Party in the United States, you're getting very close to a conservative government. What makes you different to the Liberal Party?
Well, if you think about our name, the Trumpet of Patriots, it's the patriot part that I love, because the patriot says, love your country and love its people. And it's putting Australians first in every single decision that a politician makes. They need to think about how it's going to affect the people, and then they'll come up with the right answer and the right policy. It's a really simple formula. But the politicians of today, they make a decision on things on how many voters will we win and how many voters will we lose, and what do I need to say and do to keep myself in power.
Yeah.
And
which is where the green ideology has come from, this idea that, everyone's sucked into the green ideology because you don't want to be seen to not support the environment. So the only way to go down that track is to support this garbage about renewables, which will change not 1 ounce of the temperature on the planet and make no difference to the weather.
You are absolutely right. And the only people that the Labor Party are appeasing with this climate change green dream fantasy are their lobbyists.
Yeah.
So they walk into Canberra, they've got their very polished suits on, they've got lots of money behind them, and they say to Albo, they say to Chris Bowen, look, we'll invest in this renewables technology if you keep making the policies right, if you keep making the decisions that are going to make us rich, then we're happy to work with you.
That's
exactly
right.
utter disgrace.
Yeah, although it's good to see that they've put Chris Bowen in a cage somewhere, because I saw him on Friday for the first time in a month. So obviously they've got some polling that suggests that the whole climate spend is suspect. The public has woken up to it and what it can achieve and what it can't achieve, and they've put him in a box, which I think is really good. Just in terms of your background, you've told us a little bit about your family. What political experience do you have?
Look, can I just say, Chris, there's something really important that I need to mention about Chris Bowen before we move on from him.
Sure.
And it's pertinent to what we've just discussed. Now, the Labor Party and Chris Bowen have handed over $60 million to a university and the private sector in a joint collaboration for research into offshore wind farms. Now, they've just announced a licence here in Newcastle, a feasibility licence, but the sneaky government are handing over taxpayer dollars for a research and development purpose into a green renewable technology that the Australian taxpayers, that the Australian people don't want.
Yeah, it's been big news in Newcastle. I know I caught on to this, and I don't think the people of Newcastle or north of Newcastle will put up with an offshore wind farm on their back doorstep.
Yeah, look, the Labor government are worried that they're going to lose the election, and they rushed out on Friday, and Chris Bowen issued a feasibility licence, which is the first stage in getting this whole, this whole terrible, expensive technology, underway. So we've really got to oppose it. I'm here to stand up for the people. I'm here to fight for the people of the Hunter, but indeed, I'm here to fight for all of Australians. Our electricity system affects everybody.
Yeah.
Our power bills going up affects everybody. So it's just not a Hunter issue.
And your political experience?
Look, I was a founding member of the United Australia Party back in 2013. I did local government before that. And I'm currently the Chief of Staff to Senator Ralph Babet. So I walk the halls of Canberra. I know how they operate, and I'm probably the best person to give them the kick in the backside that they need.
Would you regard yourself as outspoken as Ralph Babet?
Not quite as much. Ralph is.
There aren't too many.
Ralph is a firebrand.
Yeah.
There is no doubt, and he has a strong character, and he bloody well loves this country. So yes, he does ruffle a few feathers along the way.
Can you promise me that if you do make it and you win this seat of Hunter, you'll sort out gender identity in the parliament, making sure that biological men who call themselves trans women get nowhere near women's sport?
Look, I'm so passionate about that. Like, the world has gone crazy, Chris. It really has. I'm a mother and I'm a grandmother. I have 3 grandchildren, and my little guys and girls are not going to grow up in a confused state, and they're certainly not going to enter a boxing match against a man and potentially get some brain damage. You think about the Olympics. We've always had a men and a woman's category. And it's for a simple reason. We are biologically different.
Yes.
Men have more muscle and strength.
Yes.
Women don't. It just does not make sense to have men in women's sports, because it's dangerous, it's uncompetitive, and it's unfair. We've just got to get back to common sense.
All right, we've introduced ourselves to you, and you've introduced yourself to us. We look forward to hearing your progress during the campaign, which I think will begin on Sunday. All the very best, Suellen.
Oh, thank you, Chris. I'd very much like to speak to you again.
All right, thank you very much for your time. Suellen Wrightson is her name, from the Trumpet of Patriots, a party set up only 2 weeks ago by Clive Palmer. Tough job taking on the Hunter. It's a very difficult seat to win, but it could go to any party at this stage.